Welcome to the CG Pro podcast. This is episode 42. And today we have with us Rene Amador, who is the CEO and co-founder of ARwall, an amazing pioneering company in the world of virtual production, even before it was called virtual production. And Rene's a lot of experience in the industry, having been a director of 350 or so commercials, short films and TV, all kinds of other things, but as well as being an entrepreneur, having been a part of 16 startups, leading to this point of being CEO of ARwall. So Rene, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ed. I'm really glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. So at the start of the conversation, I always love to ask a little bit about your journey, your background, any kind of early inspirations or early experiences that pushed you in the direction that you've gone in technology, film. You know, you're a mixed. You have a very diverse skill set, from tech to filmmaking to being an entrepreneur. So, how did it start for you? How did that journey begin?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I was born and raised in Silicon Valley in Santa Clara, and what that ultimately meant is that I had a high exposure to computers and computer-generated imagery at a young age. So, my dad was a software engineer and a electrical engineer by trade. He went to UC Berkeley for electrical engineering, and quickly moved to Silicon Valley and started making software, mostly flight simulators
Oh,
for the military. For actually, it was for the British Royal Military. I think it was helicopters and that type of stuff.
for the
And then
Royal Air Force.
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. Helicopters and flight simulators and that type of stuff and computer generated imagery were something that I was exposed to really early in my life. And because of that, I had a computer, I had these software, and was doing graphic design really early. I'm talking like 3-4 years old. I was playing around with this, and I'm gonna date myself. That was I was doing this on the Commodore Amiga
Oh,
way
I'm
back
jealous. I wanted the Amiga. I had an Amstrad and was doing the same things, but I wanted the Amiga so much.
oh, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So a lot of folks started off really early. Sorry, somebody's doing some quick fixes. Something fell down. So if you hear some noise, that's what's got happening right here.
Fixing the cubicles in the office
Apologize for
building.
that.
No worries.
So the yeah. So my dad was definitely a big influence in getting me involved in CG and in filmmaking. He studied filmmaking himself, but I think was um, felt that the industry wasn't as mature as it is, nowadays. I think, talking about the 70s and that type of stuff, where you really had to be an insider in order to be a filmmaker, and you weren't going to do that as essentially as an immigrant. Both of my parents were immigrants from Nicaragua who moved to San Francisco as minors. So he became a software engineer instead, and but always had a love for filmmaking and imbued that love of filmmaking in me. So at an early age, I was watching Fellini and all sorts of crazy stuff that I shouldn't have been watching, but which definitely got me excited about cinema as a whole and about artistry, also just design and artistry. So from my perspective, what got me started in all this is that I had this computer in front of me, and I had unlimited time to play around with it. So I was doing 2D design, 3D design when that was available, and and really kind of just never looked back. And in high school, me and a few of my friends got together and we made our first film, a short film, which was called Real Ultimate Power, the official ninja movie. And it was based on realultimatepower.net, which was a popular humorous website at the time. So we got permission from Robert Hamburger, who ran that site. It's not his real name, and got permission to make that website into an adaptation that had never been done before. And so we ultimately thought, okay, well, we can make this short film and then we can release it online. I was definitely the one that was like, hey, we got to release it online. 405 had just come out. If you remember, that was a viral video where a very CG oriented as well, where a plane lands on the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, and it was a big viral hit. And so it's like, hey, that happened. Um, there's something here. There's something here to online video. So this, I'm really going to date myself. This was 2002 that we were doing this. So YouTube didn't exist yet, and then to be frank, streaming video didn't really exist. So I put the feelers out. I said, hey, what could we do to um, distribute this film that we made? It's a ridiculous comedic film, very similar to um, uh, like, like I can't even like really ridiculous, almost like Tim and Eric kind of quality. We're just ludicrous effects and that type of stuff. So did this really early. We got 3 million views on this video, and when we self distributed on our own website, so that all of a sudden I had I had plans to become a to enter the State Department to become an envoy, and I actually been accepted into USC International Business School, like international relations and all that stuff. And I was like, whoa, they got this. I got this viral video happening. I'm much more interested in becoming a filmmaker. So call the State Department and say I quit. Basically, I don't want to be recruited anymore, and went to film school to pursue this. One of my collaborators in high school ended up becoming my business partner and my lifelong partner. Her name's Jocelyn Shu, and she's also a co-founder of ARwall. She's the chief product officer. So together we went to film school. We are a couple as well, which a lot of people might be interested in. We've been a couple and been working as business partners for about 21 years, almost 22 years at this point.
Wow,
And we do almost every single project together. So we're like just each one of us is a half of a full person, you could say. And it does feel that way sometimes. And to be clear, the person that was walking around fixing the thing here, that's Jocelyn. So
it's
she's
the
here in
better
this.
half, right?
That's the better half, the more organized half. Will I sit here and say hopefully very nice things? She's the one making sure that everything else actually happens.
Fantastic.
Yeah, two of us go to film school. We make about 35 shorts. We squeeze every single drop that we can out of film school. This is something that I really recommend. You go, you make as many shorts as you can. You make them out of class. You don't follow what the instructors say, really. I'm a really bad student. I don't know if you get the impression of that. Like, don't follow what the instructors say. Just do exactly what it is that's going to make you excited to continue making films. That's exactly what you should be doing. So we did that 35 times. And then we went to Hollywood first as a visit. We took a bunch of interviews and stuff, and I got one offer, which was to become a post coordinator for trailers for a company called Wiser Post. So Wiser Post still exists. If you guys are listening, please, thank you for hiring me and for teaching me everything that I know. And so for them, I did post and finishing, color, and was studio trained by Paramount, folks at Paramount. And always be thankful to Paramount because of that. They really helped me early on in my career in becoming a post production supervisor. So eventually, I left and became a freelance post production super, and worked on quite a few commercials and music videos, and started my own company where that's specifically what we did. And then eventually that became so successful. This was during the boom of internet videos around 2007. If you were making internet videos at that time, people were looking for you and they were looking to hire you because what they thought was, I can't hire a commercial TV director because they don't know anything about the internet. So, I mean, people really thought that. And so we were getting hired all the time because we were internet web video creators. That's what they call it, viral video creators or whatever you want to call it. But Um, that's what we did, and so we started directing and producing these viral videos in addition to doing the post and finishing on them.
And this
And
was Automaton Creative.
this is a company called Automaton Creative
Yep.
that Jocelyn and I founded. And so we ran this company for about 8 years, and ultimately, by the end of the company's life, we were making websites and apps and all sorts of stuff, not just videos. So basically, we were a full-on digital agency. So you
Mm.
could come to us for any type of digital media or digital content that you needed, 2D, video, or interactive. And what that ended up doing was giving us a huge amount of exposure to this new thing called augmented reality. Jocelyn herself, she was basically a producer for a project for Lego that used augmented reality active bricks. So basically, you could put the little Lego thing on your phone or on your tablet and control the what was happening. And that was for a company called Trigger. Um, that was developing that. And immediately, one of the things that I thought of when we were looking at this augmented reality stuff is my father had worked on a plane, a military plane, where the belly of the plane, they had a mandate to make the belly of the plane stealthy. So one of the things that they did was they kind of put I'm not sure if it's exactly LED diodes on the belly of the plane, but they put a material that can essentially change color, and it can change color depending on where the this is going to sound I know a lot about military tech, so all this stuff sounds very normal to me, but if this is it's a little macabre what I'm about to describe. Basically, you point the laser at the target that you're going to drop the bomb, and then the system calculates from the perspective of that person that I'm about to bomb, what should the sky look like behind me, and it tries to make the belly of the plane look like that sky. So if it's a gray day, it'll look gray. If it's a blue day, it'll look blue. That type of thing.
So
So
it
it's
had
not.
like an LED wall on the underneath of the plane, basically.
You've got it.
Wow.
So what I thought was, okay, so there's this kind of parallax shift illusion happening as the laser gets closer to the target, right? It kind of changes the position. And I thought, there's a way that we could calculate the perspective of um, that illusion to a camera or to a user. And so this is an idea that I'd had for a while, and I'd mentioned it to some people. And one of the folks that we've been talking about all this kind of stuff, how to change filmmaking and stuff like that. His name was Michael Plesha. He was a visual effects compositor, and he had a lot of experience doing green screen and compositing work for lots of big projects. And he was one of the co-founders of the company as well, and approached us and said, I have this idea to bring all Jackie knows him. Wow. I have this, yeah, Mikey came to us, said, I have this idea for a project of my own called the Mop Liberator to bring this illusion to filmmaking. And as soon as he started describing it, everything in my mind, from the augmented reality to the military plane stuff that my dad had worked on, it kind of in a matter of 12 hours all snapped together. And I went, my I went, oh my God, there's $1 billion opportunity here, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And this is while I'm out and I'm working on a commercial campaign for like Honda. And like while I'm on set, I'm like thinking and thinking and thinking. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to do something, right? I have to act on this. So I went out and I talked to every single LED provider, every single projection provider, everybody who was working on this, Sweetwater and Lux Machina, and every single person that was talking about this. Hey, I'm a commercial director. I want to do something like this. I have a project conceivably that wants to do this. So then we started working on this project with Mikey, and then we started looking for people to build the technology. And this was much more difficult than we thought it would be. We actually went through a number of engineers to try and find the illusion, but ultimately found Leon Hui, who's our current CTO of the company, who built what I would say is the top of industry code to achieve the illusion of the parallax shift and the proper skew and distortion of the technology. And this was really exciting when we discovered how to do this with a low latency. And the first time it was done was actually in the in the community center of Leon's apartment building. So we set up a projection system and did everything there. Um,
Wow.
so on TVs and projectors, and so right now is where I can reveal that that's the illusion that I'm showing off right now. So I'm actually not at a I'm not in an office. I'm in my home in my living room, and the illusion that's this window illusion that you see right here with this parallax shift. This is Leon's code. This is the same code that Leon developed. And what's happening here is that as I move the camera, the virtual camera's position is changing in the 1-to-1 spatial ratio. So the effect that I get is that it's a window into this virtual world. And you can see there's the the limits of the TV. And I'm sitting about a foot away from the TV. So I have my back not too tight against it, but pretty tight against it. So that illusion that you just saw, this was the basis for the company. So when people saw this, they got really excited. It's not the only thing that we've developed, but it's certainly one of the most spectacular ones. And I want to be clear, this type of illusion didn't existed prior to ARwall coming on the scene. Like this, what I'm talking about here is math. But what made us unique is our passion to bring this to filmmaking and our passion to make this something that a filmmaker could cut a check and say, yes, virtual production, sign me up. I'm going to bring my crew and cast here and we're going to use this. So I would, usually we say that we're the pioneers as far as bringing this type of virtual production illusion to filmmaking. And the first project that we did for that was for Netflix and Universal content production. That was John Corser at Universal that greenlit it. That was for Night Flyers, which was a show created by George R.R. Martin. If you guys remember, Game of Thrones ended. George R.R. Martin had a new show. It was called Night Flyers. It was going to be the end all be all of science fiction operatic drama, and only had one season, unfortunately. But that one season was killer. So that brings us to ARwall.
Pre-Mandalorian, before the Mandalorian.
This is all pre-Mandalorian. Yeah, this is all stuff that we're doing in secret, essentially at Universal, showing off all the filmmakers at Universal, what's possible. Ultimately, then we go right after that, we go and do the same thing at Disney, and show everyone at Disney what this technology is all about. And the rest is history, as they say.
Right. So it led to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, to be clear, we did not work on the Mandalorian. That was a project that was done internally by ILM. Yeah.
Right. But it was an influence.
Absolutely. There was an influence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the principals on Mandalorian have even named us, and we get referrals from them all the time. Greg Fraser and all them, like, yeah, they name us and refer us all the time.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's really cool. I remember hearing about it as I was working on Jungle Book, I think, and hearing about what you were doing and thinking, wow, that's really cool. And the fact that it's become what it has today must be pretty satisfying for you. Now there's a lot of this kind of stuff going on.
One of the things that our founders talk about is we came to Hollywood to make a film, right? And somewhere along the process, we fell out of love of making a single film, and we decided that we wanted to help make every single film that occurred after us. And this is the technology that I think that allows us to be able to really influence how filmmaking is done. And this is something that we're so passionate about, bringing back kinesthetic, all the issues with performance, the control and tension that happens on set. There's this tension that happens between post and production that we become very sensitive to as filmmakers. And I think that this technology helps resolve that and bring a more collaboration, more of a barnstorm energy to the on-set filmmaking experience, which is, I think, a positive. I wrote my senior thesis specifically on the creation of play spaces for cinema, the creation of spaces where you are free to create, you are free to play, you are free to be wrong and fail and experiment. And if I think if you're a filmmaker working in the industry right now, you might laugh at what I'm saying because there is no place for that. And I think one of the reasons there's no place for that is because there is such a level of uncertainty that's injected because of visual effects and because of the post-production process. There's uncertainty artificially injected into the filmmaking process. And that results in so much tension. And to be frank, it allows people's egos to get the better of them. Because when you don't know exactly the way that things are going to go, and you can't plan your own project to the level that you would want to, of course you're going to feel insecure, and of course you're going to feel sensitive, and of course you're going to feel agitated, which is the experience that so many people have when they're on set nowadays. And this is the modern experience of filmmaking, which is not that sexy, glamorous, 19, like when Babylon, right, where everybody is, it's just id flowing everywhere, just like decadence and everything like that. There's really a sense of stricture in modern filmmaking, and all that stuff that I mentioned, play and fun and being wrong and experimenting. That's what this technology, I think, brings back, and that's the energy that it brings back to set. And I think that's the most exciting part. There's not a green wall there, and there's not something that the performer can't imagine. The performer can go like that and kind of go like, okay, I have a sensation of the ambience and the tonality of this scene, and so I will therefore alter my performance to meet that setting, meet the requirements of the setting and the challenge of the setting. So
Right.
that's the way that we really look at it.
That's great. Yeah, I think you touched on so many things there that I want to ask you about, from the technology side through the workflow side. I know that's something which I've been lucky enough to experience firsthand as well, seeing how virtual production, which is what people refer to it most as these days, how that benefits the process, how that benefits the filmmakers, how that brings it to life. Because as you mentioned, filmmaking process for a long time has been very prescribed. It's been very kind of decided upon ahead of time, written down, and that's it. That's what you're going to make. And then, but so what you're alluding to here is saying that this is helping to free that process up and allowing play back into the creativity back into the process itself.
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's two results of that. One is it's um, it can feel very liberating and to be on these types of sets where you start to have a sensation that the crew and the cast and the floor, that floor that they're standing on is like this magic carpet that can transport you anywhere, and you have a sensation of the floor being fixed, and then like kind of flying around all these virtual worlds that you want to shoot in, and the ability to change those virtual worlds, just like I did in one click, I am in another location, and this is how fast it can be on set. So how much time does the lighting team and the set dressers and the production designer have to change out everything? You just saw. That's how long they have. So what is that, 3 seconds, and all of a sudden we're ready to go and shoot that other scene. And with a little tweak on the lighting here, we can start to dial me into this location. And that is such an exciting speed of creativity. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about this technology, is the human element of this speed and this play space that is created as a result of this technology. And so what I'm showing off here is something specific. This is not Unreal Editor that I'm showing off here. This is a standalone tool that we built called ARFX This is a prototype of that called ARFX Launcher, but we're coming out with an ARFX app, which specifically is just for doing virtual production backdrops. Whether it's professional or at home, you'll be able to do this and set this up in about 5 minutes. It supports your smartphone as the tracker, so there's no additional hardware required to achieve this illusion. And that has been a big hurdle for a lot of people. They have to go out, they have to buy like $1,000 worth of hardware. We're saying, no, get your PC, hook it up to your TV, put your smartphone there next to your camera, and you're ready to go. And you can drive these types of illusions here. And just to be clear, this is also full parallax, environment. It's a fully 3D environment back there. So I mean,
Wow.
I'm displaying here live, but in a controlled space. But the energy that you're seeing me display here is the energy that we can bring on set, which is like, let's play, let's experiment, let's see what's going on, let's change this lighting iteration here. Wow, it looks amazing. This other one gets us at night. Very interesting. And this is how quickly it can be. And these are settings that we can dial in before we come to set. And then when we show up on set, we're playing. We're having a good time, and we're dialing it in. And I think this is the thing that I want people to see, how excellent that can be, and how much that can change the way that you think about filmmaking. Let me get some.
So obviously for anyone listening on Spotify, check out our YouTube channel and you'll be able to see what Rene is talking about. But specifically, your demo, as you mentioned, it's not Unreal Engine. It is your own technology. Is it built on top of a renderer, or is this your own renderer?
So common semantic clarification. So Unreal Editor is the tool that is the game development tool, an interactive development tool that people use to drive these virtual production systems. However, Unreal Engine is something that can split out of Unreal Editor and is the graphics engine on its own, the render on its own. So that's what you're downloading when you are playing a game played on Unreal Engine. So what I'm saying is this here is Unreal Engine. It is not Unreal Editor. So you do not need to learn a game development tool to do this as a filmmaker. You can download our software from our site. It's $9.99 for ARFX Launcher. That's the one that I'm showing off here. And if you do want the plugin to use in Unreal Editor, it starts at $5.99 to get that tool. And that's the exact same tool that we use when we're on set. So you're using the same tool that when we're on a Disney set, we're on a Warner Brothers set. That's the exact same plugin that we're providing you as well.
Amazing. What does that look like in terms of process for a filmmaker? So if you're building a world, you're going to be using the Unreal Editor to build the world, and then you would take that world and import it through your tool. Is that what does the process look like?
Absolutely. So let me start with ARFX Launcher. So that's the one I'm working on. I'm using right now. This comes with 10 maps. It's our most commonly requested maps, and it's a lot more than I'm showing here. There's all sorts of stuff, and like for example, these are all residences. There's about 6 residences that we actually can select from here on this map, and then there are 9 additional maps to choose from. So these are the most commonly requested scenes that we get over the last 7 years of our company, and then so you get these all dialed in for you, right? Different lighting iterations, different bookmarked locations. So lighting iterations work like this. I press a different button, and the lighting changes to be a slightly different look. So this one has more of a hazy. That's actually not bad. Look at that. So yeah, you can get some interesting looks really quick here. Now, in addition to that, then you have a whole menu system in which you have color controls and everything like that. So this is the part that a lot of people may not be familiar with when they're thinking about our tech. So you know how if you've ever used Unreal Editor on set, you make the changes to the color, nothing saves. And it's actually a very difficult workflow process. Well, guess what? We have a save button. Hold on. I have to make a change in order for the save button to show up. So we're going to make a change here. So here you see we got temperature and tint and all this stuff. These are tools that you normally only find in a real editor. What we've done is basically these are now in the map. So you're just pressing the menu button and then these pop up. And as you make a change, all right, let me make a quick change here. All right, so I'm going to change the saturation to be 0.93 instead of so simple. So normally here you'd be taking a note on the side. Okay, I changed this because this is not going to save. Now it saves and we're done. So this is a completely different way to do virtual production than the standard way that's in Unreal Editor. This is a filmmaking friendly way to do it, where you press a menu, you make this change, you save it. There's a save history, everything like that.
So it's essentially simplifying the process so that you don't have to get bogged down in learning the whole of Unreal Engine editor to be able to do this kind of work.
Exactly. And this is, some people might feel like, hey, I can learn Unreal Editor, no problem. This is a tool built for game developers. I mean, people go to school for 4 years just to figure out how to get started with Unreal Editor. And in the fellowship program that they have to learn Unreal Editor for virtual production, there's not the there's not the biggest success rate on that. People get bogged down by the complexity of it, and they usually decide to focus onto one slice of it. And what we're saying is, instead of learning this big complicated software, which is very powerful and which we have taken the time to learn, but which in taking the time to learn it, we've discovered this is a developer's software. This is a developer facing software. And if you really want to create a tool for filmmakers and creatives, this is essentially what it has to look like. And what the concept that we have here is make it feel like a camera in a video game. It should feel like the menu of a camera, and it should feel like familiar like a video game. So that's what we've done here.
So once it's running, can you like jump in and move something around or change a light or that kind of thing? How much control do you have?
Good question. So there are some things that are controllable. Most of the things are static. The things that are controllable would be like animated sequences and that type of stuff, as well as the lighting iterations, and then obviously the camera position. We have some great bookmark positions that we've laid down for you, but then you also have full control here to go and select what you want to actually end up with. So that's the main level of control that we have. I'm controlling this with keyboard and mouse, but it also supports Xbox controllers, so I can come in here and, basically you want to run around like you're in a video game. You have the full capability to do that as well. And I want to be clear: you never have to open Unreal Editor anymore to make this happen. This is something that can happen with our software. If you do want to make your own custom scenes and you do want to have that extra layer of like, let me fly, that little chair over there, let me get that out of there. If you do want that extra level of control, we consider that a professional grade tool, and that's something that would be covered by our plugin for Unreal Editor. So it's the ARFX Pro plugin. That's the $5.99 one to get started there. So that's something that you would drag and drop into your Unreal scene, any custom map that you want. There's a lot of free maps on the Unreal Marketplace that you can go very quickly. As a filmmaker, you want to do this yourself. In one day, you can go download the maps, add our plugin, train up on our plugin in about 1 hour, and you can be shooting and doing this. So this is a message that a lot of people have trouble with sometimes. You can be making the Mandalorian style effects like this just as easily as I am here. That is something that is available to you now. It's not something that's coming, it's now.
And how can people get it? It's from the website?
Yeah, so you can go to arwall.co. The ARFX launcher is the first product listed on their products. And then the ARFX Pro plugin is the software for you to make your own custom maps that look like this or however you want them to look. We also have additional products that bundle the software and the hardware together if you're interested in those as well.
Very cool. Well, so what's it been like getting into essentially you've become a software company as well as being a filmmaking company and a service company to help other people make films? What's it been like getting into the tech world again? I guess that must feel somewhat quite familiar to you because you were born into that. I guess being in Silicon Valley.
You know what? The last time that I worked on a software company, it was my father's software company, and that was I was about 13. So it's been a while since I've worked for a software company. And when I founded this, I found myself going back to a lot of the fundamentals, um, creating a really killer hands-on demo, getting people excited about the technology by using it, displaying the ease of the technology. All of these, I think, are really critical, particularly in the modern world of software development. Um, but what the interesting thing that I found that was totally different is that when I previously developed, I was working in the marketing side. I mean, I was 13, so how much was I really working, right? I was helping my dad with the demos. We would go to conventions, we would do hands-on demos, and um, I would be the person doing the demo because the trick was it's so easy that a kid can do it.
Mm,
This was a personal finance software. It was called Money Smart.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's good marketing. I like that. If you
you
can
like that?
show the kid using it,
Yeah,
then
yeah. So
yeah,
I'm a 13-year-old kid. I'm in front of the Commodore Amiga, and I'm on a stage, like at Apple World or I'm sorry, Apple. I mean, excuse me, Amiga World or something like that. And I'm showing this off, and we're selling 3 units. And that's how small the world of software was back then.
mm,
Like we were selling 3 units, and we were, oh shit, we're a big deal,
right.
like that type of thing. Nowadays, the market for this type of software is so massive because everybody has a computer, everybody has a phone, everybody has this, and it's really shocking. If you were to go into one of those hibernation chambers and come out, uh, you would really be shocked at just how many people are excited about emerging software technology. It's just unbelievable, and all those folks that are listening here um, are excited not just about the tech and what the tech could do for them, but how the tech could change the world and how the tech could have broader implications. And that is something that you could talk with about, like you could find 4 people in the entire world in the early 90s who are interested in that type of thing. Now everybody's interested in that. And so it's really interesting from a marketing perspective and just like an entrepreneurial perspective to come back into this world, because I spent about 30 years, 25 years working in entertainment and working, selling into selling into studios and selling to filmmakers and selling to marketers and that type of stuff. And to come back and into the world of tech has been so exciting. And like the stuff with AI and everything like that, we're just like, it's just like this wave that's happening. I think everybody in the industry can feel it, and I think that's why they're watching right now, because they want to know, who's on that surfboard and who's up high on the wave that can see down the distance towards the horizon. And I feel really lucky to be one of those people going, hey, this is all going to collide together. Just like I told you, that moment of epiphany that I had where all those ideas snap together. I can feel this happening again. And there's something coming that's going to be really exciting in tech, specifically for virtual production.
Right.
We got a lot
Yeah.
of questions here. Should we address some of these?
Sure. Okay. So, yeah, thank you. That's a very good point. Okay. So, somebody is saying, um, somebody's asking about the walls specifically. Um, do your walls run on 220 electric or less or more? What type
Oh,
of
wow.
electric?
So this person specifically asking about LED arrays, like large video walls. So this is something that we are commonly known for. We
Yeah.
do specialize in doing LED array installs. We're also a reseller for these as well. So if you need a new LED stage build, we can do it. So the answer to this is yes, the wall can run on 220. It can also run on 110, or basically the US standard as well. The difference is going to be that you're just going to have a lot more plugs. So you're going to have double the plugs if you go to 110. So some people, they choose to get the thick Camlock power cables that are soundstage grade, and they put that into a lunchbox distribution box, and then we get all the plugs off of that box. In some other cases, people decide to install 9-10 outlets behind the video wall, and then we're just plugging directly into the wall. Whichever way you do it, yes, you will need to have more plugs available. And in some cases, if you're running off of house power, for example, like a residential power, you may need to make a consideration about installing some additional electrical equipment. That is a thing. If you're at a soundstage, it's probably not going to be an issue. This is probably going to be equivalent to turning every production light on at the same time. It's not going to blow out anything.
Right. But you might have to upgrade the amperage coming into the building.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct. I mean, maximum ampage for a single screen is going to run something like 15 amps. So some people consider that high, some people consider that low. It's 15 amps is what you should be thinking about. I want to be clear, you're probably never going to reach that, but if every single pixel on the screen is white for a sustained period, you may start getting close to that.
Somebody else is asking how many insert stages are using it currently. I'm not sure if that means are using your walls.
Insert stages. I've never heard this term, insert stages.
I
Does
guess
that mean that?
some people use that as a term for like a smaller LED setup that's just doing like just insert shots, not like all the shots of a movie, but just some of the close-ups or whatever. Maybe
Yeah,
that's what they mean.
absolutely. So we've done over 100 deployments of the technology. We don't track how many are currently active and commercialized right now. But as far as that we're aware of, there's definitely at least 5 stages that you can go to now, which are commercializing the technology and available for you to visit. The vast majority of them are private and non-commercial. So that's the answer there. The most popular one that we're associated with is definitely Soapbox Films, where we did Muppets Haunted Mansion. If you ever come to Burbank to get a demo from us in person, it'll likely be at Soapbox Films. The other one would be Eamon and Eamon Studios, which is the LED stage owned by Terry Crews, one of our partners. And then most recently, we built a stage at Cinepax Studios. Andy and the team over there at Cinepax have an amazing space and an amazing team. Highly recommend you guys check them out as well.
Yeah, the person who's asking the question says they run an insert stage in North Hollywood, so I guess that's why they're asking. Somebody else saying, with regard to production design, how does this technology work with specific set pieces and props?
Yeah, very good question. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can check out the behind the scenes for Tales from the Explorers Club. And this shows a lot of how high-end production design teams working on TV day in and day out are using the technology in combination with false floors, false walls, and sets and props and all that type of set dressing that you normally associate with green screen or other standing sets. So the basic rule is that there's a roughly 12 by 12 foot false floor in front of the screen that slopes away from the floor. So if the screen is like this, the floor is not like that, but slightly slopes away. And that what allows you to do is to get that that seamless horizon sensation from the technology. As it seems that the camera's looking over the rise of some type of slope or hill, and then out towards the sky or horizon or whatever the deep virtual background is at that point. And in addition to that, you at that point it starts to become pretty similar to green screen. The exception being you're welcome to use smoke and glass and reflective surfaces and all those things that DPs have to remove from from their minds of like how this green screen stage is going to look. All those hazy textural fluid elements can be added back on set. So we have snow and haze and fog and all sorts of stuff happening on set. But the most popular for sure is glass stuff. You know, this type of stuff, like with my glasses right here, getting that amazing refraction of that, you know, light there. getting those types of effects is very popular to combine with the technology. So that's a lot of what the production designer is thinking about is, hey, I'm not on green screen. What can I do that I wouldn't be able to do on green screen? And that ends up being where they're headed.
Somebody else is asking, can we build our own environments and plug them in? If yes, and the question just slipped
Yeah.
away from me as I was asking it. Can we
Can,
can we build our own environments and plug them in? If yes, is there a manual, or can you please highlight how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as creating your own custom illusion with your own custom content, half of that is going to be guidance that you get from Unreal Engine's team. They have extensive tutorials. It's not going to take you very long to get started. However, I have to be upfront. It may take you a long time to get to the point where you're happy with the way that the scene looks, because this is just like traditional 3D environment design, in which it takes true artistry and lighting and texture and materials working. And then even if you're the master of all those technical elements, all of a sudden you've got, the creative task of like, hey, I got to make this look good and make this look interesting, right? So it is an entire discipline. We generally call it Unreal Environment Artist. It's sometimes also called Virtual Environment Artist. And if you're an art director role, the new title is VAD, or Virtual Art Director. So that's going to be the role that you're approaching. So that's what you're going to be looking for as far as the skill set, whether you're learning or you're hiring someone to do that. Yes, you can create your own environment. Yes, you can plug our plugin into that. And yes, we have a knowledge base, video tutorials, and a full user manual that will support you in that process. So we're not 100% aware of what other materials are out there from other teams. But as far as we know, this is the most extensive documentation and training that is available for virtual production, specifically for in-camera effects. So we're happy to be able to help you with that as well.
Well, I'm going to piggyback shamelessly off the back of that comment and say that CG Pro, the school, has a new world building class coming up and it's starting in the mid-April, and it's specifically intended to help people work in the virtual art department. So if anybody's interested out there in building worlds, that's something which we're doing with a very exciting partner that I can't announce until I think Thursday. But shameless plug over. We can move on to the
Yeah,
next question.
I mean, I'll let me hammer that in. This is a discipline. This world building and this creation of virtual environments. We want more people to learn this, right? Because I think that there's an amazing opportunity for people to move from games and other disciplines into virtual production. It will happen. But I do want to be clear. It is difficult. It's not the type of thing, just like illustration, or some people would argue it's even more difficult than normal 3D environment design, because it needs to be fully interactive. You need to wander through it and everything like that. So highly recommend you guys check out any educational resource, whether that's CG Pro. This world building class seems like the exact fit. You take that, you go and get our plugin, and you're going to have everything you need to get started.
I highly recommend it too, obviously, because I'm extremely biased. But another question here we've got: does this technology eliminate atmospheric smoke?
Oh, that's an
Maybe,
interesting
maybe that
question.
means practical smoke, I'm guessing.
Yeah, does it eliminate practical smoke and haze and that type of stuff? Not in our experience. So you can create haze in the scene. However, in the interplay between the live action subject and the virtual subject, you will need to see some consistency in the textural element of it. Obviously, also temperature, tint, contrast, that type of stuff. But if I'm standing here and I'm in the completely clear air, but then it's hazy back there, your eye is going to question it. And I'm not saying it's going to ruin the illusion. And maybe you can get away with using a significantly less haze, but it doesn't eliminate that type of stuff fully. Now that said, if you think about it in comparison to green screen, you have the ability to completely add haze as much as you want, which you didn't previously have, or it was more technically difficult. In green screen, what they generally did was they added a plate of haze and stuff on top of the live action element, you could conceivably do that here as well, and completely eliminate the physical haze need if you wanted.
Right. So basically, yes and no at the same time.
Yes
Sometimes
and
you need a
no
little
is
bit
the
more
answer.
haze to knock the the LED panels back a little bit. But
Yeah.
somebody else, excuse me, somebody else is saying, how do you handle more complicated LED volume output pipelines that require custom meshes and multiple render nodes?
That's an excellent question. So let's say you have a curved screen, you've got multiple screens, you've got sidewalls and ceiling and floor and that type of stuff. So our plugin does support that multi-screen and curved screen. And basically what it requires is it's very similar to the long developer focused way to do that in Unreal Editor, which is you have to have an OBJ of the screen surface. You have to do the UVs, and then you basically it can dial it in from there. It can do the distortion and skewing and everything from there. So yes, the ARFX Pro plugin supports this. This is also something that is supported in vanilla Unreal Editor. However, those that have played around with it will tell you right up front that it can get pretty difficult once you start running into multiple render nodes and net code and that type of stuff for the files to all sync together and everything like that. I would say it's not a fully perfected process. There are some people that have gotten to get it to work reliably on set. So our recommendation as a team in general is that you attempt to just make a huge beast machine, single server, single CPU machine, and drive everything through there. We haven't had an instance where that hasn't worked for us, and we've worked on some very large projects like 5 screens and everything like that. There's lots of trickery that we use to get that process working. So I would say it is still a professional specialist process to be able to do these types of really complex Mandalorian style stages. And for those that are interested, we can help you with that. If you need specifically want to do this yourself, we can also help support you on that.
Well, and I know that the person who was asking about that, who's building the studio, was keen on doing a demo. So I'm guessing we posted your email address so they can contact you.
Yes.
So yeah, very, very cool stuff here. I'd love to hear a bit about your South by Southwest award and what that was about.
Yeah. So our South by Southwest award win, that was in 2018. And this was a big one for us. We had just completed Night Flyers. That was that first project that we mentioned for Netflix and Universal Cable. Sorry, Universal Content, I think they're called now. The idea was that we had developed this plugin for that project, and we were invited by somebody that knew what we were up to. That, hey, you should go and get involved with South by Southwest. This is going to be a good fit for you guys. So I think we applied on the last 5 minutes of the last day that we could to this award, and ended up getting accepted, and ended up winning the ARVR category of this. And what this was we pitched the opportunity of ARwall as a company, both from a business development and investment standpoint, to the entirety of South by Southwest. So you could come and you could get our pitch, and we would pitch you, right? So many people were excited about this that we ended up winning the top ARVR tech prize at South by Southwest that year. And at that meeting, if you've never won a South by Southwest prize, it's a little bit crazy. The minute that we won, my inbox filled with 1,000 emails from everybody at South by Southwest who wanted to chat with us. So we spent the rest of South by Southwest running from meeting to meeting as many people as we could. And I feel like we haven't stopped for the past 5 years. That's honestly how it's been. Yeah.
Sounds like it was good for business.
It's very good for business. I highly recommend that. There's a lot of startups and entrepreneurs that I speak to that don't believe in awards or anything at all. And what I would say is, from a market standpoint, from an investor standpoint, You need to show that you can excite a large slice of the mark of people, get them excited about what you're up to, and that's more than just a product, and that's more than just a team. It's the whole package. And what the awards allow you to do is to show your capability to do that. And so I'm very happy to say that we were successful on the entire circuit of awards that we did. And it's something that I would really recommend that people get into if you're a tech entrepreneur, if you're a startup entrepreneur. Don't sleep on these opportunities. These are real opportunities, and I highly recommend them.
It's good advice. Yeah, and as a business owner myself, I'm also curious how you balance everything, because you do a lot of different things here, and you also run. You're similar to us as well. You're a couple that runs
Hmm.
a business, and same
Oh,
here with me and Jackie. We're
um,
both visual effects artists and married, and run the school together.
mhm.
So I obviously have my own opinions about that, but I'm curious because I think there's something that would interest people, how you find the balance is maybe the wrong word for it, because I know that things are just, life is kind of chaotic, but how you balance the life business, being in a business with your partner, being an entrepreneur, and in tech and in entertainment. It's a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I didn't expect this type of question, but I think it's very welcome. So the answer is that we, as a couple, really believe in time boxing. So if you're not familiar with this term, this basically means that you have some level of stricture about when certain activities occur in your day. So we will cut off professional discussion at a certain time of day. We'll also attempt to do that during the weekend, so that we have some space for us not to be business partners, for us to be a couple, and for us to work on making a family and making an incredible household, and being with our friends, and everything like that. That is the key element to it, is that you have to have a discipline to say no. I could be making money. I could be addressing that business need, but I'm not going to, because I value the relationship as a separate element than the business, and a separate element from me personally. So I think that's really important whenever you're thinking about balancing your relationship with your work, particularly if you work with them. The other
But
thing
even
that
so, if you don't work with them, it's still the same
Exactly.
deal. Yeah.
I think it's really important to understand that there's a difference between personal individual time and time where you're working on the relationship. Gosh, I didn't expect to be talking about this, but because I've been
Sorry
in a
about that.
relationship.
That's my fault.
Look,
I
I've
love
been in
that
a
stuff.
relationship for almost 22 years at this point, with the same woman, and it's not something I get asked about very often, but I have a lot to say about it, and hopefully it can be helpful to people. I will be upfront that we do go to couples counseling, and I think that this is something I want to be really open about. If you, particularly now during the pandemic, you're smashed together with this person, for your own mental health, for the mental health of your partner, I highly recommend that you be open to couples counseling. Here I am, a CEO of a tech, XR tech startup company, telling you this, but this is something that I've seen my friends and family go through. Whether it's mental health or just having really bad relationship issues during this time, I want to, be upfront. We get help, and we ask for help, and we're open in asking help, and we're open about the fact that this relationship is something that we're working on intently and intentionally.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I'm very glad I asked it, because I think, whilst yes, this is called CG Pro, the podcast, and that we obviously care about computer graphics a lot, and tech and filmmaking. There's the finer things in life, and those things can sometimes go by the wayside a little bit especially when you're ambitious and you're pushing for your career, and like you're obviously an ambitious person. You're having success in your ventures, and having success in your relationship, and I think it's amazing. And thank you for shining a light on something that I care about a lot as well, which is that things don't good success in things doesn't happen by accident, and you're saying exactly that you're proactive about that, because I think sometimes people can feel like they go to those things when at the end, often when it's kind of too late, but actually being proactive about it is what you're saying. And thank you
Yeah.
very much for being so transparent about that. I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely. And look, it's no mistake that I'm in this relationship and I have to think about balancing my own work and life balance while I'm a filmmaker. And the fact that we've built the technology this way. I mean, the entertainment industry is not very friendly to these types of relationships. And there's a joke in Hollywood. This is not a joke that we share to people outside very often. There's a joke in Hollywood, which is that every film causes a divorce.
Right.
So if you're making a film, it should be better than a divorce.
Hopefully, yeah, if you made a crappy movie and it cost you your marriage.
It should be better than one divorce. That's the bar that a film has to have in quality. So that joke underlies something real, which is that part of the point of this technology is to make this workflow more reasonable to humans. And I hope we're going to continue in that direction and trying to make the technology something that is affecting people's livelihoods, not just on, oh, I get to make a pretty picture, but actually like, hey, it took less time and it took less headache. And that's affecting my life in a number of ways.
Right. Yeah, it's a big deal. Now, I've seen a lot of it too in the film industry. There's a lot of people who've just thrown everything into their work. Coming from a family where that happened, which split at some point when I was 15. Going through that and seeing what can happen if you put yourself too much into your work. It can cost you things in other areas of your life in terms of your health, relationships, and wanting to have a good balanced life. I think it's really important to discuss this and hear this from people like yourself who you're making it work. And how do you make it work? You're telling people how you make it work, and you're not leaving it to chance. You're not leaving it to happen by chance. You're being active with it. I think it's wonderful to hear, because I think a lot of
Very
people
well
feel
said.
like that kind of stuff is hopefully going to work out, whereas that it's you have to be active in it. If you want to make a success of something, you got to get involved. I've seen a lot of people go wrong with that in the industry, and it's possible to have it not go wrong. And I think it's great to hear how you do it. Have carve that time out, carve out the time for your life, and it doesn't cost you your professional career. You could still be
Yeah,
successful and have a successful relationship and have a family, but it does take conscious choices and decisions.
exactly. So well said. And thank you so much, Ed and Jackie, for even caring about this question. Just think it's something top of mind for a lot of people. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, I thank you for answering it. I think it's and to also bring it back to the technology as well, and describe how this can almost help in a way. It can help what we've gone through in COVID, people being able to work from home. It's caused challenges, but it's also caused opportunities, created opportunities in terms of people being able to potentially bring some more of that balance back, maybe, and also breathe more fun into the filmmaking process. I've seen in some of the movies I've got to work on with this tech. It's I was very proud that on the Lion King, being the lead of the VAD, that we didn't really do almost any lates. We pretty
Mm,
consistently kept within a reasonable number of hours, and that's very uncommon in the film world. That's something I was really proud of, being able to be a small part of making that happen, and being able to go home and being able to go about their lives. It showed that it's doable. It's possible. And sometimes things come up for sure, but I I think anyway, it's a very hopeful subject to land on at the end of the podcast. And thank you
yeah.
for throwing this idea around. I appreciate it.
It's a big deal, and it's something that we should talk about in entertainment. Ultimately, one of the big problems in entertainment is the work conditions, and let's fix that as a community together. We have the technology to fix it now. Let's do it.
I can tell that that's where part of this comes from for you is helping. I can tell, I can feel the passion coming from you about why you want to do this, and there's a lot of care that comes through that.
Oh,
So thank you, and I wish you all the greatest of success, and hopefully we can collaborate on something in the near future. But yeah, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. And is there anything you'd like to share? I know you've shared about some of your new work and products. Is there anything that anywhere people can follow you? We've already shared the website. Is there anything else that you want to share with anybody where people can follow you or
yeah,
find out more?
absolutely. If you want to get updates from us, definitely sign up for our newsletter, which is on. You can sign up on our website. We send that out pretty once a quarter, not too often, but it's got all the big updates. Otherwise, you can follow us on social media. It's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube, and we're generally always ARwall or ARwall Co. So find us there. If you want to reach out specifically to my team, it's hello@arwall.co, or you can go to our website, arwall.co.
No TikTok yet?
We're working on the TikTok, actually. I'm happy to say that we
Must be.
just completed raising some funding. So TikTok is on the docket.
Nice. Well, congratulations for that. That's very cool,
Thank you.
especially in this current environment. And
Thank
yeah, we're also hopefully we'll be on TikTok at some point. I've been
you.
confused by and scared by it mostly so far, but I know that it's necessary
It's
probably.
definitely necessary. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ed.
Cool. You bet. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed this conversation and yeah, thanks for your time.
Awesome.
Uh,
Thanks so much, everyone in the audience. Natalie, I can see that that's you. Thank you so much for commenting. That's Natalie at Glassbox is probably sending all those comments.
yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Rene. And yeah, thank you to all our listeners. Thanks for being a part of this and asking great questions. If you've enjoyed today and you want to find out more about ARwall, we've shared the information with you about them. If you're interested in CG Pro, the school, you can check us out at becomecgpro.com and our free Facebook group. And we will be back in another couple of weeks with another great episode. But thank you all for being a part of today, and we'll see you all again soon.